Hey, thanks for pressing play on the Snacky Says podcast featuring yours truly, Jody Taylor. This intro sounds different, right? Because it's not really an intro. I have to make a clarification for the podcast episode you're about to listen to. So this is editing Jody, which is funny because I make a joke about how I don't edit. Haha, joke's on me. In this podcast episode, you'll hear me saying something like that. I'm chatting about, as you can tell by the title of this episode, 1,000 downloads. We done did it. So we're celebrating. I chat about 3 other things, including sizing and aging. And the point that I didn't get across, because there was a comical amount of background noise when I was recording this episode, airplanes and sirens and whatnot. And so that may come across. You may hear like we're kind of start and stop the audio. When I was talking about sizing and aging, I said that some of my nearest and dearest are, I'm now older than them. And what I meant is that they've passed away. So I'm older than them now. I'm older than they will ever be. And so I don't get hung up on aging. That's where I was going with that. All right. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you for pressing play. Thank you for listening. I appreciate you. And here we go. Here's the celebrating 1,000 downloads, episodes, and 3 other things. Hey, it's Jody Taylor of SnackySays. Welcome back to my podcast, the SnackySays podcast. So today I'm going to be chatting about 4 things. Number 1, I have a huge announcement. Number 2, I want to share an affirmation with you. And number 3, I want to do a follow-up to a couple of podcast episodes. Sizing is for the birds, and the podcast episode I did around... Why do people say around? About. Why did I say around? About April Han's Slim Arm Challenge. I realize that when I say her name, it sounds like Hanz. It's just Han, Han. So Han apostrophe S. So that has to do with sizing. And then the last thing is, a sneak peek into an upcoming SnackySays podcast episode. So let's get into it. Number 1, the huge announcement is, drum roll, please. I wish I could do a drum roll. And if I was good at editing, or if I took the time to do editing, I would insert a drum roll. But I'm not. So please, drum roll, please. SnackySays podcast has officially hit 1,000 downloads. That's the huge announcement. I'm over the moon. Thank you. Thank you for listening, whether this is your very first time hearing my voice or you've been tuning in all along. I have been at this for 14 months now, and 6 months in, I had less than 200 downloads. I was exactly at 157 downloads, and here we are 14 months later, and 1,000 downloads. I didn't have any expectations. I didn't set any goals. This wasn't a milestone that I had in mind. But long story short, when I opened up the Substack dashboard the other day, I'm at jody.substack.com, JODDIE.substack.com. I opened up the dashboard and I saw 1,000. I cried a little bit. I was so happy. I am still so happy. It's a pretty big deal. Another interesting data point that's perhaps more significant on a personal note to me is the amount of episodes that have been shared have doubled. Like within the last month or so. So I'm super happy about that. Each episode, the very last thing I say is usually something along the lines of, please subscribe to the newsletter, SnackySays Newsletter, if you haven't already. And if you enjoyed this episode or any of my podcast episodes, please share with a friend or 3. And something has happened in the last month, and folks are sharing more than ever. I appreciate you. Thank you. Okay, next up, I would like to share an affirmation with you. Last year, pretty early on, before it was even calendar season, I think, I bought an affirmation calendar from Hay House. I'm actually going to check and see if it's possibly available. It had sold out, and it is a dated calendar. So basically after February 2023, I don't think they were selling them anymore. Of course, I'm doing this in real time. Let me see if it's available for 2024. Hold on a sec. Yes, it is available. I'm going to put the link in the show notes. It's currently 50% off. It's $8.50. And if I'm not mistaken, this is exactly what I paid last year. They were having a 50% off sale, and I got this and something else. It's hands down the best money I spent in 2022. I literally use it every day. It's called I Can Do It, the 2024 calendar, 366 daily affirmations. Why is that? Is 2024 a leap year? I guess so. Well, this one was 365 daily affirmations, 2023. And let me read you the one from Sunday, September 10th. Now, I generally recycle these. I don't keep all of them, but there are a few, including this one in my hand, that I read it resonates, and I hold on to it. So this one reads, "For every problem that I may create, there is a solution. For every problem that I may create, there is a solution." So what came to mind when you heard that? I'm curious. When I read that, what I immediately thought is like, any problems that I have, I created it. So I got to get working on a solution. I have to take action. I have to be responsible. I just really love this affirmation. So if you needed to hear it, and whether or not your interpretation is like mine, or maybe you have a different interpretation, which is why I'm curious. But if this resonates with you, yeah, run with it. I think the beginning of peace and happiness is like solving problems, right? A lot of times I'll talk about myself. I'll just be complaining. I just complain. And it's good to vent, of course, but there's venting, which I kind of see as a one-off thing or every once in a while. And then there's complaining and, playing the blame game. At some point, one has to move on and come up with some solutions. I think I talk about failure a fair bit because I excel at it. Nevertheless, I'm going to continue to try. And this is another reminder, like for any problems I create, there's a solution, and I'm going to find that solution. And it doesn't mean I'm not going to ask for help, but I have to admit that the person who cares the most about my problems is me. The person who cares most about solving those problems that's right, me. All right, so that was number 2 with the affirmations. I wanted to do a follow-up. I had 2 podcast episodes where one, I was talking about sizing is for the birds. Like, this is a many years long issue that I've been having with clothes. Like I buy size medium, one brand, and in another brand, I'm a large. I buy large in this brand, same brand. I buy large, it's too big, it's too small. It's a little bit of a mess. So sizing is indeed for the birds. In the April Hahn podcast episode, I did her slim arm challenge for 30 days. I'm still doing it, as a matter of fact. In total, I guess I'm about, 75, 80 days in. I stopped for 2 days because my shoulders were hurting. I was so tired, and I'm glad I took those 2 days off because I'm now 13 days, I think, or 14 days into this new challenge. Air quote, it's not new. But I feel refreshed. I don't have the pain I was having. But what I talked about is how at the same weight 10 years ago, my arms measured like an inch and a half smaller. And I was like, what is going on? So if you listen to that episode, now looking back, I think there were some folks that are like, yo, I can tell you what's going on, Jody. I can tell you, you're aging. How did I come to this conclusion? Well, I went on Banana Republic last week and I was looking for tops, and they have a sizing quiz. And I think the second or third question is, how old are you? And I was like, what? And like they have like, why are we asking? And they said they were asking because your age can influence your size. Well, I didn't know that. But it seems kind of like the obvious answer. I don't have a problem with aging. Why would I? There's some folks near and dear to me who at this age, I'm now older than them, and I never thought I would see that day, but here we are. So if you're like me, and things aren't exactly fitting, or you feel like, hey, I weigh the same, why are my measurements different? Maybe that's it. I'm not completely sure that's what's going on with me, but it sounds reasonable. It sounds like a reasonable explanation. And when I think about it, this actually happened to me a long time ago. I had a denim skirt, which I was just reminded of when I was thinking about sizing. And I just did this like big Swedish death cleaning, spring cleaning, and I realize now that I no longer have that skirt, and I'm surprised that I got rid of it at some point. But I did do a huge purge in 2019, I think, 2018, and then again in 2019, and I must have decided to donate it. It's a bashy skirt. It was a great skirt. Anyway, long denim skirt. It was from J. Crew. And the first 2 years that I had it, it fit. Nope, that's not true. It took a few years, actually. Well, at some point it fit perfectly. But never again. Never again. Even if I was the same size and other things, that skirt never quite looked great on me, no matter my weight. Maybe that's why I ultimately gave it away. It was a long skirt, but I'm tall, and it's not a size tall skirt. So I would practically have to be an unprecedented, for me, weight, like let's say 140, for it to fall the way I would have liked it to fall, like kind of reaching my ankles maybe. It was like a long skirt, but not long enough on me. Okay, I feel like I'm going down a rabbit hole. Let's move on. So the other thing I wanted to do was a sneak peek into an upcoming podcast episode. I am feeling extremely nostalgic for road trips. I used to love road trips. And what started this, what triggered this, I feel like when I say triggered, I always mean it in kind of like a funny, negative way. But in a positive way, what triggered this was I was on Calpak's website, calpaktravel.com. I'll put the link in the show notes. And I accidentally came across their car organizer. It is a thing of beauty. I can't say that I love all of the colors, but if you are going on a road trip, I think this is a perfect thing to have in the trunk or maybe even in the back seat. I hope I do a good job in describing it, but I will put a link in the show notes so you can see it yourself. If it's collapsible, so if it's closed, it looks like a little laptop briefcase kind of bag, but when you expand it, it's like an accordion. It expands into basically 3 boxes, kind of 3 square tote bags. So it's great for shopping. It's great for if you're on a road trip, you can have 1 square. I'm calling it a square. I guess let's say 1 bag. 1 bag for your like first aid kits and your like little things that you want easy access to. 1 bag for your change of clothes. Another bag, I'm making this up, for your fishing gear. I've never been on a proper fishing trip, so excuse that example. Now I'm excited to do this podcast episode because I just started thinking about things that I would always bring on road trips. And so I'm going to conflate my experiences and kind of like my dream road trip. And in my dream road trip, I would have this organizer in the car. I just think it's awesome. So look forward to that. I'm not quite sure when that's going to come out, but it will be coming out. And I feel like it could be a whole series. Like I could do one now based on my past experience and what I would like to happen. And then I could do a follow-up episode when I've actually tried everything out again, use things again, or try things for the first time, like really put it to the test. So we'll see what happens with that. All right, that is all I have for you today. So just as a recap, we are celebrating 1,000 downloads. Thanks again for listening. I feel like the best is yet to come with our SnackySays podcast. Thank you for your support. And the next, I shared an affirmation, and I really want to encourage you, if you're interested in affirmations, daily affirmations. When I tell you this was the best $8 or $9 I spent on this calendar, it's something that I use every single day, and I always look forward to the affirmations. It's already on sale. I know it's early, quite a few months early, but go ahead and pick it up. It's 50% off. And then next, we chatted about follow-up to sizing and why, because of my age, I guess my body is different. What do you call this? Body composition? I guess my body composition is different and changing. And that's fine. I'm fine with it. I'm strong. I'm healthy. I have my health and strength. No issues. I was just kind of puzzled, but more and more, I think that's what's going on. And then last sneak peek, I just chatted a little bit about upcoming road trip podcast episode. It might be a short and sweet one. Maybe I'll just list like 5 things you can bring on a road trip. I have some ideas. We'll see how that pans out. All right. Thank you so much for listening. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the SnackySays Newsletter. You can do that at jody.substack.com. That's JODDIE.substack.com. I really appreciate you listening. If you enjoyed this podcast episode or any of my podcast episodes, please share this episode with a friend or 3? Thanks again and again for listening. Take care.